So, this is like a weird mesh of a bunch of different things that I think could all be categorized in this video. So if I jump a lot within this, then that's probably the reason. But I think generally there's just been a lot more hateful people, and I've said this like every other video, that there's just a lot less acceptance on many spaces of the mainstream internet. I think if you're in a niche, smaller, like, subsection, whatever, it's not as apparent, but every now and then it just kind of like slips in, you know? And I think it's got something to do with like how normalized it is to just like be a bully and to be a hater on the internet, which obviously, you know, you're cloaked by being anonymous and whatever. But like, there's just so many things that like sort of, how do I phrase this? Condone and support people kind of like being this like hater. Anyway, so one of those things that I think I notice a lot on TikTok specifically with slideshows or like videos in general is like, oh, what's a art style you hate? What's a channel you hate? What's a blank 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 you hate? And people will just like mention, you know, some other people's channels. They'll mention a popular trend that they hate, or they'll mention a bunch of like different art styles that people have that they dislike. And it's okay to like dislike, you know, specific styles, trends, whatever. You are allowed to have your own opinion. But when it comes to like outwardly saying that and then going as far as to like mention the person in that video and then, you know, kind of let them know that you hate their art style, I just think it's a little bizarre. It's strange how normalized that type of post is in the TikTok community, where it's like, oh, what's an art style you hate? I think that's just a little tone deaf, for lack of a better word. And another thing that I think kind of falls into that is like the whole unpopular opinion thing, where they're like, oh, unpopular opinion, I hate this thing, I hate this person, I hate whatever. And this is one of the things that I think causes a trend to die out, because everyone kind of jumps on that, which I've talked about in a past video. But the whole unpopular opinion, and then it's just a bunch of like hatred towards something, like, yeah, it might be an unpopular opinion, but does it really need to be mentioned or posted? Like, that's just like kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Because again, I don't really see it as something necessarily that you have to be a hater for, at least publicly. I really don't get it, because my like rule of thumb, I guess, with the internet is if it's not anything like harmful or specifically like problematic in that sense, then like just leave the person alone, just leave the fandom alone, just leave whatever media alone, you know? Yeah, there was recently, I'm not really in the Yandere simulator community, that space, but there was like this post that was made that was like, unpopular opinion, this person's OC sucks, blah 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 blah, it doesn't look canon, whatever, right? And it was just a little strange, because like OCs aren't really meant to look canon, they're just kind of like somebody's original character. And I just think it's weird to go and like be mean to somebody that you literally do not know, another random on the internet, unless it's like warranted, you know? And I guess this whole mindset that like, I love being a hater, normalize being a hater, it's just not my thing, I guess. It's just particularly harmful when you're kind of like normalizing that and attacking, generally being aggressive towards other people on the internet that are just kind of minding their business simply because you don't like them, you think it's too popular, whatever opinion you may have, right? It's just, I don't really know. It's like one of those things that, you know, I guess it could be funny if you're just saying that you're a hater or whatever, but if you're seriously, you know, being mean to other people for non-existent reasons, it's just kind of, don't do that, guys. People always like to say, I guess, that cringe culture is dead, that you can be whatever you want to, and that sort of space doesn't exist anymore. But it really hasn't gone away, because yeah, in like 2018, 2020, all those, like, around that area, there was just a lot of cringe compilations, which included a lot of beginner artists, and I think that was like what dissuaded and pushed back against beginner artists at the time, because one of the things when I started posting I was super afraid about was being put on one of these like cringe compilations. I think that scared me so bad because my art was not good at the time. But I think that this new wave of like cringe culture comes in the form of like the whole being a hater thing. Like, the biggest thing I think with being a hater, being a bully on the internet is I really just don't get it. Is it like cringe for somebody to just kind of like be happy with themselves on the internet and kind of be doing their own thing and just want to like document that specific thing? And I get that it's like, oh, it's the internet, you know, it's public, so they should be ready to deal with people being like this to them. But I think that just shouldn't be so normalized in general on the internet, because it's like, if somebody's just minding their own business and kind of wanting to express themselves through the internet. Another thing that I think kind of ties into that was there were these posts that were like, oh, taking a photo of something aesthetically pleasing, and it used to actually just be like normal photos of like things people thought were like pretty and whatever, right? But it slowly devolved, I guess, into this weird thing where they would take photos of people dressing alternatively in public, or in the worst cases just taking pictures of disabled people going about their day. And there was, I think, one where it was this photo of a woman who had lost her leg and she had like a prosthetic, I think, and I really didn't understand what the point of that was. Like, what was the punchline? The person being disabled, I guess, like being a hater of somebody for just going about their day and minding their own business is just, it's vile. Being on the internet sometimes, I guess. And for me personally, I've said this like multiple times in this video, but I really don't get it, because I like to pride myself in being an anti-hater, if that makes sense. I really don't understand being mean to people because of my own personal preferences or what fandoms I like and whatnot, because at the end of the day, if it's something that they enjoy and they are not being harmful to anyone, and you know, it shouldn't have to be the way where people have to expect people to be mean to them, you know, and to have to deal with demeaning comments all the time on the internet. And it's only becoming more normalized with the like, I love being a hater culture, and whatnot. Even though I think cringe compilations still do exist, and they're deeply rooted in like ableism, homophobia, all those types of things. They really haven't like disappeared, and if not become more common on TikTok with slideshows. And I think it really just pushes people away from wanting to have their own form of self-expression, and pushes them to just kind of like fit the mold in that sense. Because during 2020, which I think many people who were the age at least I was when 2020 was going on, there was just a lot less pushback against self-expression. Like, people were, I guess, kind of figuring themselves out, you know, which is a good thing. Like, figuring out what type of person you want to be was a lot easier during 2020, when there wasn't really anything holding you back. But I guess that now that we've kind of gotten used to being back in the real world and not being quarantined, people have just kind of gone back to that mindset of, if you don't fit with what people want you to be, then you're weird, and you shouldn't be around. It's just kind of sad, I think, to think about. And if you are one of those people who posted those like, what's a blank you hate, that it is really damaging to other artists. It's not bringing the art community to anything better, basically. It's just a lot of mean stuff on the internet. Oh dear. This is kind of running long, but yeah, let's not normalize being mean to people for simply existing, please, if that's an option. Yeah, that's basically all I wanted to talk about. Bye!